Detroit Lions fans, let's have a conversation. You know I'm not one to shy away from controversy at all, and I will take this stuff head on, but I want to have a serious conversation between the comment section and Twitter. I am genuinely confused as to what you expect your team, the Detroit Lions, to accomplish. Let me tell you what I mean. All right, so in the comment section and in Twitter, it seems like we want a player until we find out how much that player is receiving in compensation. We act like we don't know what that player is going to get when we covet them in free agency, or we wanted them to be traded to the Detroit Lions. Snead was a big name that you guys wanted to be traded for. Okay, I know what I'm getting into. I know when I want a player that they're going to require some money. It's funny because if we go back to the prior days, right? We have all this trust into Brad Holmes that he's not going to spend money. And this is not particularly about Brad, this video. This is about you, the fan. What do you think is going to happen? Let me paint the picture for you. We're going to have Penei Sewell, who's going to get a boatload of money. We're going to have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's going to get a boatload of money. If he does not, he will not play for the Detroit Lions. See, these players can move on based on what they feel their needs are, right? They're going to get what they feel they are worth. If you have a player that is worth a certain amount of money, you're going to have to pay them. So you take the Detroit Lions, right? If Brad Holmes builds through the draft and he gets players that he doesn't miss on, those players are going to turn into big time free agents eventually. Or the Detroit Lions are going to have to extend those players for the money that Brad Holmes has yet to spend. Okay, so this is not about Brad Holmes, because I don't know what he's going to do, but I'm asking for your clarification for the fan. What do you think is going to happen? We want this player. Then we see he costs so much money. We want L'Jarius Sneed, got a 4-year, $70+ million contract with $55 million guaranteed. That is how the game goes. You either take it or leave it. We trust Brad Holmes. He's building through the draft. Well, if he builds the right way, those players are going to want money. Unless you are using this philosophy. You draft a first-round talent, you get a potential 5th year out of them. You milk the life out of those rookie contracts, and then you move on, right? So let's take St. Brown. Let's take him, for example. If he doesn't get the money that he covets, being a 4th-round pick who can name all 16 wide receivers before him, he will walk away in free agency. Or the Detroit Lions can tag him for 1 extra year. Penei Sewell, the guy that is a dog at tackle, he is going to get a bag in a few years or 2, and then he is going to get paid or walk away in free agency because somebody will pay him. Somebody will pay these individuals. Now, I'm not saying that pay equals wins. There's only one team that's going to win every single year. We saw what the Eagles tried to do a few years ago with the Dream Team. We've seen massive contracts get thrown out, and they don't equate to wins or winning it all, because at the end of the day, only one team can do that every single year, right? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, and what I think that it gets lost in maybe my delivery or maybe some PTSD from how the Lions used to do from you guys, is eventually you're going to have to pay somebody. And when it comes to free agency or a trade of some sort of a quality player, we're talking about a top tier elite player, right? You're going to have to pay someone. I'm not saying pay everyone. I'm saying pay someone. Now, you have these players on your team, and a lot of you say in the comment section, well, if we pay such and such, then we're not going to be able to keep such and such, right? If you build through the draft, that's going to happen anyway. If you don't miss, that's going to happen anyway. You're not going to be able to pay all of these people. Perfect example is L'Jarius Sneed and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chris Jones drafted, Mahomes drafted, Snead drafted, draft. Eventually, those players turned into dogs, which netted them 3 Super Bowls out of the last 5. Eventually, they're going to become free agents, and you're going to have to pay them. The key is prioritizing. That is the key. So first, Brad Holmes, let's bring it back to Brad Holmes, because this is not about Brad Holmes. I don't know why I have to sneeze when I make videos. This is not about Brad Holmes, but let's bring it back to Brad Holmes. If he builds through the draft and he doesn't miss, right? He's going to have to pay people, and he's going to have to make a decision on who to pay. So I want you to put in the comment section right now. You are now the basement armchair GM. Fill in your name here. I want you to make a decision. You have to choose between Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got to choose. As the choice is yours. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. The choice is yours. Take your time. Take your time. I want you to decide between those two. Because guess what? That's going to keep happening. And and as far as Brad Holmes is concerned, let's make him the master of this thing, right? Let's say he gets this all done. The franchise tag for L'Jarius Sneed was almost $20 million. Eventually, when that contract runs out, if a team wants to keep a player, they have to pay them more than the average contracts of that. The 5 average contracts of that position, they have to pay more than that. I think it's 120%. Eventually, that happens to every team. Now, let me bring it back to the PTSD part. We're used to getting these players via free agency, all right? And then they don't do anything. We overpay them. They don't do anything. I understand that. We're also not used to drafting players who actually turn into something heading into their second contract. If you go back and you talk about a bunch of players, Calvin Johnson, Matthew Stafford, okay? Those are the players. Ndamukong Suh walked away in free agency because the Detroit Lions were not willing to pay him what he wanted. I don't think he wanted to be here anyway. So let's go back to Ndamukong Suh, the guy who you guys cannot shake. Since the moment he walked out of the Allen Park 10 years ago, you have wanted him back ever since. Would he have been a guy that you paid? Right? And then a lot of times these guys leave and they don't live up to listen, that stuff happens. It happens. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm not trying for Brad Holmes to sign every free agent. You have only heard me say a defensive end. That's all you've heard me talk about for the last 2.5 years on this channel is a defensive end. That is why I lost my mind when Jameson Williams was drafted. You guys remember we were, and a lot of you don't remember this. Maybe you don't talk about the team every day. Maybe you don't care. But when the season started that we drafted Jameson Williams in the first round, after we took Hutch at number 2, the Detroit Lions were trending the worst. They were projected to have the worst defense of all time. I'm going to repeat that again. They were projected to have the worst defense of all time. And through the first 7 games, they did. They were going to break the record for most points allowed in a season until they fired Aubrey Pleasant, sparked the team, and things changed, right? So eventually, you're going to have to pay someone. Is Ndamukong Suh someone you would have paid in 2014? You have to decide between Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell. The choice is yours. You cannot say anything else in the comment. If you're going to answer this question, it's one or the other. You have to make a choice because when you draft good, eventually these choices have to be made. So my question to you is, what is the difference between bringing in a quality free agent? We use the word overpay a lot. Every single one of these players are overpaid. Every single one of them, right? We use the word overpay a lot. I think it's funny that the Chiefs overpay. Chris Jones is overpaid. They got 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls while we trying to get our first one. Patrick Mahomes, nobody says he's overpaid, do you? Right? A lot of y'all would diss Jared Goff in a heartbeat for Patrick Mahomes. Why? Because he's that good. Paying people does not equal wins. And if you do it right, it can. All I've ever said was one person. And now you have to decide who that one person is. The 2 people, because I'm going to paint this picture and then we're going to wrap this video up. Brad Holmes, if your drafting is stellar, Hutch gonna need a bag, right? J-Mo, he in between right now. He like that Jerry Jeudy type. He in there right now. He got time to get better. He's only going into year 3. Amon-Ra St. Brown, not a time. The jig is up. He want his money. Panay Sewell, we're talking about him next year, right? So when Brad Holmes, and then before you know it, we on to Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell, right? So if you draft good, you're going to have to pay people anyway. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I truly don't understand. I've never said ball out, get a dream. I want this guy. You get a bag, and you get a bag, and you get a bag. I'm just saying, if you have to, if I was going to choose to throw a bag at anybody this offseason, it would have been Josh Allen. It would have been Danielle Hunter. I wanted Nick Bosa before he got wrapped up. Just remember about he got wrapped up too. And I'm not saying that these guys are going to have stellar years every year. They just going to come and be dogs every year. Things happen, injury happens, stuff like that, right? I'm definitely not saying blow the bag. I'm saying eventually you're going to have to pay. It's like putting everything off until if you defer. And what Brad Holmes is doing by building through the draft and any other team, you are deferring payment. And usually when a bill comes around, it's even more. If you defer a payment, it's going to cost you more than it would have if you paid up, right? So anyway, I really want to know how you guys are thinking, because you know how I'm thinking. I make videos about it, but I want to know what you guys are thinking. Thank you to my members, subscribers, and viewers. This channel is made possible because of you guys. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. I can't believe I didn't sneeze during this video. I really had to sneeze. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below.